AFC North divisional clash, the third time these two teams are meeting this year. The 6th seed in the AFC Steelers at the 3rd seed in the AFC Ravens. The Steelers have to go to Baltimore for this one, Casino. Who you pick it in this one?
Ravens Steelers. You want an ice cream smoothie?
Oh,
okay. I'm not making an ice cream smoothie because your brother is asleep right now and we don't have any ice cream. I'm gonna go Ravens. It does scare me a bit that that Zay Flowers is out.
Yes, and that's confirmed. He will not
yes.
be in this game. Yeah. So the first when these two teams played in week 11, the Steelers, that was that really weird game where it was 16-18. Steelers win. It was all field goals. Nobody scored a touchdown. Ravens couldn't put it in the end zone. And then all of a sudden they play in week 16 a couple days before Christmas. Ravens go into Pittsburgh and the Pittsburgh Steelers come into Baltimore and just get rolled 34-17. And now we have that same scenario potentially because I believe the line on this game is a 10-point swing, right? Or it's you're on mute. It is
9.5 currently.
Sorry, but I believe when we talked about this yesterday, I think it was 10.5. So I believe it's already been, bet down a full point. We're dealing with children on both sides over here. This is why we record on Thursdays. Thoughts on this game, Casino? Do you think it's going to be a Steelers victory by 2 points, or you think what's more likely, a repeat of the first game where it was a 2-point swing, or a repeat of the last game where it was a blowout?
I think it's going to be a blowout. I think the Ravens are going to take care of business. I know historically the Steelers have the Ravens number, but I don't think that's going to happen this year. I think with Derrick Henry in to help out Lamar Jackson, this is going to open up this offense more going into the playoffs. And I think Lamar Jackson can make a legitimate run with the Ravens to the Super Bowl to win the Super Bowl with Derrick Henry helping on out. So with that being said, I am going to go Ravens, and I'm going to go Ravens probably by 10 points, right around where it's at. I don't think they're going to mess around, and they're not going to let the Steelers hang around. Plus, I don't like how Russell Wilson's been playing as of late. Yeah. And no matter what TJ Watt can do, I don't think that he's going to be able to do enough against Henry and Lamar Jackson, who, in my opinion, should have won the MVP, same as you.
Yeah, I agree.
Fun fact, this is only on Prime Video.
This one is only I hate when they do that, especially now with playoff games. Remember last year they had this.
So every other game is fine. It's CBS or Paramount Plus, Fox, NBC, Peacock, ESPN, ABC, ESPN Plus. So you have some really good options outside of the only two would be the straight up Fox game with the Eagles, Packers, or the Prime Video game with the Ravens Steelers.
You know what's a great middleman for this? Why does Fox not team up with Prime Video? Fox doesn't have a streaming service that I'm aware of. Or if they do, I
absolutely love it because like the CBS games, I get on Paramount Plus, and I have Paramount because I don't have cable. The straight up Fox ones, I'm screwed. I can't watch it. I got to watch it on Red Zone or whatever during the weekend. And then the NBC games, I get to watch on Peacock, and ESPN, I get to watch on ESPN Plus. So they do a good job outside of literally Fox and Prime. They need to figure it out. Just marry.
They do. I know. And that honestly seems like the perfect mix because it's like you don't have a streaming service. Amazon doesn't have a cable channel. You got your peanut butter and my chocolate. It's a perfect combination. That's
that Family Guy reference. I didn't remember that one. You got my peanut butter and my chocolate. You got your chocolate and my peanut butter.
But also, if we as the people who talk about sports have to give Sam Darnold like the right amount of shit for not performing as well when the division was on the line, we also have to give that same amount of vitriol to Russell Wilson in a game they needed against the Bengals, where he puts up what? Just abysmal numbers
Well, it didn't
in a must-win
but
game.
no, it didn't matter because the Ravens played beforehand and the Ravens won.
Yeah, but
So
if you're still gonna
that stopped
start
them
your
on the division.
starters, like,
Yeah,
why
because
would
it's still for seeding wise, it was still for seeding, but they weren't able to win the division. Uh,
yeah. But that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. If you're starting your starters against, especially against the worst defense in the league, arguably with the Bengals, and you go 17 for 31, 148 yards, one touchdown, no interception, and your offense only puts up 17 points. Now, again, I know at the end of that game that Russell Wilson had an absolute dime to George Pickens, and George Pickens, again, we talked about it the week after, just like laid out for it in the weirdest way we've ever seen somebody try to
yeah,
make a catch. That was just, I still don't, I'll still watch that play and don't understand what happened, but
he's no Puka Nakua.
yeah, the bet.
My daughter's all excited now.
Yeah.
Puka Nakua.
We're talking, tell her to stay tuned for Vikings Rams preview. But we look at the by the numbers tape for the Steelers Ravens. Ravens, I mean, at one point they were being talked about with the Bengals as having the worst defense in the league. They finish the season as the 10th ranked defense. So not only now do you have the number one offense in the league, including the number one rushing attack, obviously with Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, you have the number 7th in the league passing attack and the number 10 defense. I think people are sleeping on how much better this Ravens team is and has been for the last like month and a half.
Oh, I totally agree. They're starting to hit their stride defensively, and that was their only worry. So,
Yeah.
you know,
And also, you look at the MVP numbers. I mean, Deshaun Jackson, 66% completion percentage, 30 yards away from 4,200 yards, 41 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. That is, again,
who'd
I
you
saw
say?
Lamar Jackson,
Oh,
41 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. And then Derrick Henry, 80 yards away from having 2,000 rushing yards on the season and 16 touchdowns. So every idiot who talks about sports before the season, that was just like, Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley aren't going to make any difference. And us on this podcast, we're both like, how can they both not make their good teams better? Like, it just was
right.
such a obvious take, and everybody tried to do like they're washed, they're gonna be nothing. Well,
You know
both
what's
of them had 2,000 yards basically.
Man, I
Like,
really wish Joe Burrow made the playoffs because he would have been my MVP. He's less than 100 yards shy of he's first in yards. He's 4,918 yards, 43 touchdowns, 9 interceptions with a QBR of 75. Ugh, I
but
so
uh,
good.
again, I also don't, if we're looking at this objectively, and I know we already did this on the TikTok, but I don't think we did it on this show. If we look at it objectively, I don't know how you can objectively say Josh Allen, like, take out the where Lamar Jackson has won it previously. If you're just starting blank slate and just going by this season,
Mhm.
stats wise, it's Lamar Jackson. Head to head, Lamar Jackson absolutely annihilated the Bills. And in rushing yards, passing yards, touchdowns, he's got it all, and he has less turnovers.
Yeah,
So by what metric is Josh Allen the MVP over Lamar Jackson? It's such a weird, but again, it's just Josh Allen because Lamar Jackson has already won it too many times and done nothing in the playoffs. Like,
right.
that's the bias of it. But
4 more games. Let's hit them.
yeah, in this game, I'm also picking the Ravens. I think it will be a much closer blowout to how it was a couple weeks ago than it will be the 2-point game where nobody scores a touchdown, especially because I feel like a month ago, and a half ago, you can see a clear delineation from the Ravens going up and the
Was that
Steelers
your word
just
of the
free
day?
falling. Yes, my word of the day, toilet paper, right there, coming in handy.
Obviously, it wasn't day.
Yeah, that's tomorrow, ironically. But we're both picking the Ravens on that one.